She's India's favorite cover girl. She's bold, she's beautiful. You might see her on a billboard or zipping past in an auto. She's the new Bollywood. She's Kalki. So how are you doing? You just flew in from Dubai, and tomorrow you're flying somewhere else. So I really appreciate you coming here.
Yeah, it's kind of been a mad ride. Either I'm taking a first class flight from Dubai or I'm taking a train, a 2-day train to Delhi because we're doing a play. So, I go from one side of the spectrum to the other.
I had a little chat with your dad the other day, and he says that you're... he said a lot of things, but let me tell you, he is so proud of you.
Oh, he never tells me that.
He said he's got this funny, combination of a South Indian and a French accent. He said, to me, she's only my baby. She'll always be my baby. Sweet.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was telling me that your fascination for theater and acting started after you watched the Mahabharata, Peter Brook's Mahabharata, and you were absolutely fascinated with Mallika Sarabhai.
Well, I think he was more fascinated with Mallika Sarabhai.
Maybe it was just his story.
That is maybe his fantasy. But definitely the Mahabharata was, the filmed version of Peter Brook's play was something I grew up with and watching all my life. And then lots of, my parents, introduced me to some very hardcore cinema from a young age, from your Bandit Queen.
It shows.
To Les Enfants du Paradis. So, I think all of that had some effect, in the madness today.
Well, I read a very interesting and adorable article that you had written into Helka a couple of years ago about how you ran away from home when you were a kid. Can you share the story?
Well, basically, I was about 6 or 7, I don't know, I was very young. And I don't even remember what the argument was with my parents. I had some huge argument, but obviously it wasn't so huge because I don't remember what it was about. And I decided that I would run away from home because it was just, they had offended me, they'd pushed all the limits, and it was time for me to leave. So I got this little suitcase, and I packed, which was actually my lunchbox, and I packed a 5-rupee note, and I think the Never-Ending Story video, because it was my favorite film. And I can't remember if there was any, I'm sure there was some sweets or something in there. And I packed this.
That was your survival kit?
Yeah, and I left. And I walked to the back of the garden, where there was this hedge, it was like the end of the property. So I went inside that hedge, and it started raining, and I was wet, and I was getting hungry. And then I thought about it, and I thought, maybe I'll forgive my parents. Maybe I'll go back. So, and I was certain that they would be going crazy by now, calling the police, looking around for me and whatever. And I came in all soaking wet with my suitcase, looking all like, don't worry, mommy, I'm back, And my mom just slapped me and said, "You're late for dinner. Where have you been?" So yeah, that didn't work out so well.
Love that story. Tell us about your pre-Bollywood days, about college, why you got into theater.
Acting was always like, a fun thing to do. In school, it wasn't a subject.
Would you get the lead role in school? Were you?
I used to get some lead roles, yes, but I also played a tree and a sheep. So,
That's good to know.
I think all's fair when you're in school. Teachers know how to balance you out. I think I never saw it as a real subject, so I never even thought about, what will I do with my life. But my mother said, you have to go to university. I thought this would be the one subject I wouldn't get bored of for 3 years. So I went abroad. I went to London, Goldsmiths, and before that, I thought I was a very, open-minded, kind of rebellious person. And I got to Goldsmiths.
With a whole bunch of actors.
Where everybody had like purple hair and came to school in little like tutus and, had "I'm a lesbian" written on them and stuff. So I was suddenly really intimidated.
You thought you were really tame.
And I was like, what am I doing here? So it was a tough time for me, but it was also the best learning experience of my life. I think I advise everybody to leave home especially like here we are so spoiled. We have our driver, we have our cook, we have our parents, we have
right. It's a slap in the
relatives
face.
and grandmothers and this, and everybody is doing something.
Let me tell you about my first load of laundry.
Yeah.
It all came out pink.
Yes, exactly.
But nobody told me.
Absolutely, yeah. The laundry, there's nobody in the room. There's nobody anywhere in Europe. I mean, you go, you have to get your own train ticket. There are no human beings. I was like, where are the people? But no, I learned about life.
Did you have to pay your bills?
I had to pay my bills. That's one side. But also how to sort of be responsible, how to live alone, how to also it really helped me be who I am as an actor, because suddenly when you're with so many people who want to do the same thing, you've got to be the different, you've got to want something, you've got to give something which they don't have. So that was the place where, my Indian identity came out actually.
That's
because
so interesting.
Suddenly I was in a place where they didn't know about the stories that I was telling. And that was interesting for people. And that's where I was like, oh, okay, it's okay to be different.
And is that the reason that brought you back, your Indian
Yeah,
identity?
I think I couldn't help, all my stories were so Indian
Rooted.
in some way or the other.
You were born in India.
Yeah. So for me, it was about coming back home. Firstly, it wasn't a cerebral choice, it was an emotional choice, just coming home, coming back to family and friends, and then obviously to do the work. I had no plan. I still have no plan. I don't know what I'll be doing in 5 years from now.
Bollywood was never your goal, right? So how did you stumble across your first film, which is a very unconventional role? Tell us how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
Did you speak Hindi?
Yes.
At that time?
Oh, very badly. I spoke like, aage se right.
Sounds like mine.
Yeah.
We were good South Indians.
आप बहुत बुरा हो भैया. क्योंकि मैं फिरंग हूँ, मुझे beep मत बनाओ. I don't want to say the word. What was my train of thought?
Dave Deep.
Yes.
How did you get it?
Yeah. The thing is, when I was in Bombay, I was doing theatre for a couple of years before any film work came. And I was doing the odd audition here and there for films, but honestly, the way I look with my terrible Hindi and the fact that I'm white, I knew that I would always just be, your background dancer, or your van,
the tree,
the dirty, loose-moraled white girl who comes in for 2 minutes and flirts with the main actor, or whatever. So I was like, I don't want to do all that, But I had to make money. I mean, you can't unfortunately survive on theatre, especially fringe theatre and the kind of physical improvisational theatre that I was doing. So I started, sort of looking for auditions and stuff. I did some ads here and there, which tied me over. I did some writing, which tied me over. And I did a couple of auditions, but Devdi was the first one that I got. And actually, when I went for the audition, Anurag, there's a very funny story here. Anurag had seen my photos, my portfolio, and my CV. And he saw, and they were like full modelly hot pictures, right? So he looked at them and he said, "Arey yaar, I don't want a model for this role. I need an actor. I need a real actor. I don't want some Russian model." Okay, so he dismissed me completely. Now, UTV was very concerned about the role of Chandramukhi because they thought that Paro was very, rustic and had a very sort of I don't know how to say it, but a very Indian look, and they wanted something very spicy for Chanda. So they were like, no, let's audition her anyway. So they auditioned me without Anurag's presence. It was Vasan Bala, who is now actually a director, but he was the casting director at the time. And he filmed me doing the audition in English because my Hindi was terrible. In fact, I saw the script and I said, "You've got the wrong person. I can't speak Hindi." So they gave me the script in English. I did the audition in English. And literally 20 minutes after I left the building, I get a call from Anurag. He goes, "Hey, you are, what's your, Kalki Koechlin. You can act. Come back."
And then it was love at first sight?
Well, yeah, maybe for him, not for me. The other day, a friend of mine asked me, a co-actor of mine said, "But you fell in love with Anurag for his intellect." I said, "No, it's definitely for his body. I mean, I married him for his body." Anyway, but that's another story. But yeah, this is how they happened. And I went back to the office and he said, listen, can you learn Hindi in 2 months? You have 2 months. So I got a tutor. It was a friend of mine who taught theater. And he was the best thing that happened to me, Karan Makhija, because he, instead of teaching me just, some nice Bollywood dialogues, he made me do e, u for 1 week. Then after that, I just started learning how to write, and stuff like that. And it was a longer process, but actually it gave me the foundation to be much more confident and to read scripts and to be able to,
now you can
because
come and
Hindi is beautifully phonetic. It's not like English, which is such a ridiculous language when you think about it. Dough and rough. What is this? It doesn't make any sense. What a nightmare.
That's amazing. So now you speak Hindi. So instead of आगे से right, what do you say?
नहीं आगे से राइट अभी भी बोलती हूँ और भी कुछ बोलती हूँ पहले ना सारे ऑटो ड्राइवर्स they would like talk to me in Hindi for half an hour and I'd be like हाँ जी now I answer back.
So you're having nice conversations with the auto driver.
Yeah, because they love that I take autos.
Right, of course.
They're like,
oh, of course they recognize
they can't get
you.
over it. So now they're like they're damn happy.
They want to know your full life story.
Yeah.
We should
they
just
tell
record
me
that.
Uncle's business is here. If you want chashme, you have to get it from this shop. Stuff like that. Yeah.
After you did Devdi, you shot to fame, but what was life after that?
So the funny thing is, Devdi did really well, and unexpectedly for the kind of film that it was. But it wasn't, some kind of overnight fame for me because I didn't get any work for the next 1.5 years in cinema. And it was more like a slow, it's that the worst thing, what's worse than not being famous and being famous is being almost famous. Because then people are like, I've seen you somewhere. What is this? And then they take a picture with you and they say, "Aapka naam kya hai?" It's like very humiliating. You just feel like you don't know what you feel like. Anyway, whatever. So that was my situation after Devdi for a while, and I really couldn't sit there being unemployed. It was depressing. So I said I have to make work. If work isn't coming to me, I have to make work for myself.
Were you getting offers for roles perhaps that you didn't want?
Yeah, I was getting a lot of prostitute roles. So, for me, it wasn't interesting to do that again, and especially not with some of these B-grade Bollywood directors. So, so I sort of took my time about it. I mean, I think that was the sensibility that I had because of theater. Because I had theater as a sort of backup or whatever you want to call it. I was still doing my theater. So that's what kept me grounded. And I started writing a new play, which was called The Skeleton Woman, with another actor, a friend of mine. And we put that play up and we traveled around with it for a year. So that's how I kept myself sane until my next film.
Tell us about your new film.
Oh, Ye Jawani Hai Diwani.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's coming out.
I saw you dancing on TV.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I apologize. But no, it was a really mad, fun film to do. Ayan Mukherjee is actually a very sensible guy, even though he's 28, I think, and completely crazy. He really has a sort of sense of character, and he really, he wanted to make a commercial film, and he said, I want this to be a film that everybody goes and watches, because Wake Up Sid was not so much, it was more of a urban film. So this was a film he was like, I want everybody to love this film. So he said that very clearly. At the same time, he wasn't willing to compromise on the characters, and he was very, keen on making those characters rounded and have a reason for them. So that was why I did the film. And 1 year we shot, 1 whole year. It was a long time. We went to Kashmir in minus 20 degrees. We went to Rajasthan in 45 degrees. So we've traveled a lot on this film, and we've all got to know each other a bit too well, actually.
Tell us more. What is it like? Is it your first time working with Deepika?
Yeah, first time working with Deepika, Ranbir, and Aditya. And yeah, we got so comfortable. We were all like in pajamas together by the end, like hanging out and watching movies, crying together. And we know each other's like potty secrets, and we know each other's diets and what we like to eat and how we like our chai and all of that. So it's very funny. You can't help it, I think, when you're working, especially in those kind of conditions, where you're working like in snow up to here. You know, you're walking up this hill and you see a couple of people frozen on the way up, and another one like, you know, being brought down to hospital because she's like frozen. And it was quite mad. You think filmmaking is all like glamour and beautiful, but actually it's like,
well, you make it look like that.
yeah.
Kalki, I could just sit here and talk to you forever, but it's time to get
Oh God.
to the quickie with Namu Kini.
I hate quickies.
You're a teenager, remember. Do you watch Hindi movies?
Only very few.
This is a test of your Indianness. Did you buy a gold jewelry set with your first big paycheck?
No.
Not Indian. Do you watch what you eat, or are you one of those I've always been thin people?
I don't want to say it. I don't want you to hate me.
You are happiest when?
Working.
Do you prefer the red carpet or curling up on the couch?
Both of them. I like both.
Okay, you can have them
time
both.
for everything. Yeah.
Babies?
No.
No babies.
No.
Cute little
No,
baby Kalkis.
I already have a stepdaughter who's 12. She's a handful. And yeah, I think I've actually never had that maternal thing. If I ever really want kids, I might adopt. I'm not particular about having my own kids.
Advice to your 18-year-old self, which is, I know, just a few years ago.
Oh God.
Quickie.
Be okay with yourself. Be okay with yourself. You're fine.
Thank you,
You're doing
Kalki.
fine.
You're more than fine. Thank you so much. Kalki Koechlin, everybody.